chapter Madhya Lila, chapter 2, verse 94 and 95.
Can I rearrange it a bit for you because it's not the greatest?
Do what you have to do. Okay. The chapter is called The Ecstatic Manifestations of Lord Caitanya. Sri Caitanya Nityananda Advaitadi Bhakta Vrinda
Sri Caitanya Nityananda Advaitadi Bhakta Vrinda
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Swarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Swarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Dhuli Karon Mastake Bhushana
Dhuli Karon Mastake Bhushana.
I won't butcher it again, so Prabhu's.
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda.
I think it's different.
Where is our...
This is also good.
This is good.
And how they do this?
It's also one of
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Svaruprupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Svarupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana.
Dina? Alexa.
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Svaruprupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Svarupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana. Mataji's? You can sing however you like.
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Svarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Svarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana. One more.
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Caitanya Nityananda Advaita Bhakta Vrinda
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Shiredhari Sabara Charana
Svarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Swarupa Rupa Sanatana Raghunatera Shri Charana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana
Dhulikaran Mastake Bhushana. Thank you very much. Shri Caitanya.
Shri Caitanya
Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu
Nityananda.
Nityananda
Lord Nityananda Prabhu.
Lord Nityananda Prabhu
Advaita Adi Bhakta Vrinda.
Advaita Adi Bhakta Vrinda
As well as personalities like Advaita Acharya
as well as personalities like Advaita Acharya
and all the devotees.
and all the devotees.
Shire
Shire
on my head.
on my head.
Dhari
Dari
taking.
taking.
Sabara
Sabara
of all.
of all.
Charana
Charana
the lotus feet.
lotus feet.
Svarupa
Swarupa
Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami.
Srila Swarupa Damodar Goswami
Rupa Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Raghunathera, of Srila Raghunath Goswami, Sri Charana, the lotus feet, Dhuli, dust, Karon, I do, Mastake, on my head, Bhushana, decoration. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. According to the Parampara system, I wish to take the dust from the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and all the associates of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu like Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. I wish to take the dust of their lotus feet upon my head. In this way, I wish to be blessed with their mercy. Please repeat after me. According to the Parampara system, I wish to take the dust from the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and all the associates of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, like Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. I wish to take the dust of their lotus feet upon my head. In this way, I wish to be blessed with their mercy. Verse 95. Panyayandra agyadhana vrajera Vaiṣṇava gana vandhantanra mukhya haridasa Caitanya vilasa sindhu kalolera eka bindu tarakana kahe Krishna dāsa. Translation. Receiving orders from the above authorities and the Vaishnavas of Vrindavan, especially from Haridas, the priest of Govindaji, I, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, have tried to describe one small particle of one drop of one wave of the ocean of the pastimes of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Today's verse. According to the Parampara system, I wish to take the dust from the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and all the associates of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, like Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. I wish to take the dust of their lotus feet upon my head. In this way, I wish to be blessed with their mercy. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. These are the concluding verses of this chapter, chapter 2, which in the greater context, if we consider the book, is almost, we can say, out of place, because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami really here described the Antya Lila pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. There is a reason, he explains it. And we're gonna just briefly go through the structure of this chapter 2, like a little summary, if you don't mind, just to remind ourselves. This chapter was called The Ecstatic Manifestations of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Vipralamba Prakash of Radha Bhava in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the official. The first two chapters of Madhya Lila are again called like Shesha Lila, don't know why. And there are basically three main groups of verses in this chapter. If we don't include the last few verses, which is the offering the benediction and asking for mercy. But if we say with those, then we have four sections. Verses 1 to 14 describe Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic symptom of separation. So here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj says that I'm going to summarize Antya Lila of Lord Chaitanya and describe the transcendental ecstasy in his last 12 years. Gaurasya Krishna Vicheda is like transcendental madness. And there are loads of details here. Lord Chaitanya manifests various symptoms of transcendental love, sattvika bhavas. His mind is completely absorbed. His activities, his talk, we will see later, it's called jalpa. He just talks randomly. And even his blood is manifest at some point. We of course don't exactly have a chronological explanation of this, although at one point it is said in one verse that there is blood coming, and at one point his arms extend, limbs, and yesterday I don't know with who I was talking, and it was like 20 centimeters that they kind of extend. All the joints extend 20 centimeters. I don't know how many inches it's in inches here, 8 inches or something, 20 centimeters. So that's clearly not something we understand. And it is also explained here at the very beginning that we don't understand this, and it's too above us. And then we will see the reason at the end. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also gives us, and Srila Prabhupada in his purports, why still we have this. Teeth go loosen, moving. Imagine us, one teeth here at the back is moving, our entire world is collapsing, oh my God, we are so body conscious. And his entire body is moving or changing physically. Then we have verses, and this is the biggest part, verses 15 to 76, Lord Chaitanya's feelings of separation in the mood of Radharani. So, pain of separation, perfection of senses, these are all in these verse groups. I don't want to bore you with that. Desire to see Krishna, these are waves, as we would call them. These are waves. I tried to, or I wanted to, give today's class and pull the correlation of the verses and how these ecstatic waves appear with Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Devotion and the symptoms of bhava and prema. But then I realized maybe we are too young for doing that. And we always address our audience, and in our audience there are some younger devotees, so better not talk about that. But for your own studies, I strongly advise to try to find the matching, symptoms with the verses. It's really exciting when you get into it and you see that there is a progress, nice kind of arc upwards. Krishna, Lord Chaitanya talks about pure Krishna prema in this world, the nature of Krishna prema, desperation to see Krishna, experiencing the presence of Krishna, all sorts of various things. Then we have almost the concluding section, here. It's 70, 60, 95, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami glorifies the Caitanya Caritamrita, explains this part, why he wrote it. So it's a very substantial part, important part, especially for us. Especially for us, because we are not on the level of understanding these sattvika bhavas and any kind of bhavas, or maybe you are, I'm not. But as in our tradition, in the Gaudiya Vaiṣṇava tradition, we don't do that in we don't discuss that in public, we don't do that in public, even if we happen to be on the level of pure devotion. That's not something we are accustomed to present. That's something between you and Krishna, and that's how it should be. And when I was studying the male and female psychology, the nature of the male and the female, there is this, this is Krishna's energy, both. Prakriti and Purusha, and then Prakriti, we think male is very strong, muscles, loud, big beard, but in reality it's Prakriti who is stronger, and because it's stronger, it can destroy the Purusha if it's not careful. So the point I want to make here quickly is just that Prakriti is like fire. Fire, it burns, it's very strong energy, the female. Therefore, we need to cover it, to kind of contain it, to keep it safe. And this translates to why the Matajis are always wrapped up like a doll. Because they have to protect this energy. The more they are covered, the better. And they don't display that energy freely. If they do, it's wasted, it goes away. It kind of exits the body and attracts unnecessary attention. It's like a diamond, you don't just put it here. Hare Krishna, this is my diamond. Yes, Krishna, you see my diamond? Did you see it? Have a look. No, we don't do that with something precious. We protect it. We put it in a box, which then is put in another box, which we lock, which then is put in the cupboard, which is then locked, which is then in the house, which is locked, So we protect it as much as we can. So equally so, when we deal with this energy, Prakriti, we treat it that way. So when you marry, or if you are married, or if you have daughters, etc., you protect. And this is how you train them. This is why. It's very important. Why I said this, I have no idea, so let's carry on. So these are the concluding verse of Kaviraj Goswami, and he gives benedictions. So the point here for us, sadhakas, is that we need to listen to these pastimes, because this is the panacea for our illness. We are so ill, we are so contaminated, that we don't even know that we are ill. It's like, I'm okay, but everything is coming out on every hole, and eyes are red, and then your boss says, no, you are sick, you go home. No, I'm okay, I'm okay, there is nothing, I can work, don't worry. So we are so ill that we don't even know how ill we are of this material existence. There are various ways to approach this, we can say it's anarthas, we can say it's material desires, we can say this and that and the other. But eventually we need to cure ourselves. And what is the cure? Cure is to listen, hear of Krishna, Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities, his form, to hear about it. So besides the fact that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is in like a weakened state, he's old, also, like Srila Prabhupada, he gave us the first canto at the very beginning, and he put everything in it. Just in that fear, something is happening. Let's wait. Oh, it's giving out a buzz. So, like Srila Prabhupada, he actually gave all his transcendental purports and knowledge in first canto, just in case he doesn't conclude the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives us the glimpse of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, of his later years, 12 years, like this. Sorry about that. Apparently buzzing is not good. Okay. Hare Krishna. Not yet. So, hearing from this chapter with faith. So this is again very important. Softens our heart. Our heart currently is what we would call is very hard. How can we see if someone's heart is very rock hard? Does it has there is a microphone. Does it has a manifestation externally? I think Tom wants to say it. Can you pass the microphone, please, Prasanna? How can we see, Tom, that someone's heart is very hard?
Harsh speech.
It appears in manifests through speech. How otherwise?
Speech and your kind of behavior, your genital behavior maybe.
Behavior. It does manifest through behavior. But you probably see, or you have seen, people who... You have to turn it on. You probably have seen people who are kind of inwards. They're kind of always looking down. They don't communicate. They don't mean ill. They're not like rude or something. They don't speak harsh words, but they are themselves very much closed. And when you try to kind of approach them, you try to reach out to them, there is no, way to get to them. You just say something nicely, positively, Hare Krishna Prabhu, how are you? Or Mataji, and then you just, and that's it. That's where it stops. So that means the heart is very hard, very, very rigid. It's not soft, it's not open. And then on the other end, you see devotees who are always like open, literally, like this. Hare Krishna, always smiling. Whatever happens, they always... So that's one of the external symptoms, beside all the others. Like, you don't feel... If your heart is very hard, you don't feel empathy. You don't have that empathy towards others. So you can't go out and distribute books very good. You will struggle with that because it does require a lot of opened mentality, open-heartedness. So listening to these pastimes, believe or not, and it's very, very gruesome and physical, like blood is everywhere and body appears like a tortoise, etc. Listening to this, our heart will soften. That's amazing. Another very important aspect by listening to these pastimes, and any pastimes in general, anything about Krishna, all right? It awakens the longing for pure devotion. It's not that, when will my limbs extend 20 centimeters, It's not about that. We can't imitate that, but it will awaken that longing that, when will I see Krishna? How can I serve more? How can I be more humble? So that's another very important aspect of hearing about Krishna. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Srila Prabhupada in the purports throughout this chapter, they say they help us understand Lord Chaitanya's mission. Wow. How is it? How? Well, I don't know how, but apparently it is. It is the fact, so give it a go. Just read through the entire chapter and see how will you feel during your service, during your preaching, during your sankirtan, during your pujari service, whenever. Well, I have faith in it, so I guarantee you it will make you understand Lord Chaitanya's mission more and more. So it's very nice. Yeah, so that's that. Now, our Gaudiya Acharyas emphasize that these parts of this chapter and the parts where Lord Chaitanya exhibits these emotions and transcendental, bodily transformations. It says here, these are not for practice. So Acharyas are warning us that whatever is he doing, it's not for us to imitate. So for us, it is clearly to read and absorb ourselves in it, which then has his, results, but they are not for imitating. Shishi Dayanlita Vijay Gauranga Ki Jai. These symptoms, if they only appear after bhava, never before it. So again, every devotee should think of himself very humble and not advanced, and then from that point of view, if these appear, they will at one point, and they only appear after bhava, not before it. So there is a nice sentence here. I picked it up from one purport. Proper response to this chapter is reverential hearing, and not imitation, emotional or physical imitation. So it's all about hearing. Hear about Krishna, hear about his pastimes, and then you will gradually, your heart will soften, your understanding will mature, and you will develop that intense desire to love Krishna, to be with Krishna, etc., etc. So that's what our acharyas emphasize, and they warn us about it. It's very important. Then at the end, it's a nice thing here. I just want to read it again. Lord Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami wishes to take the dust from the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu. So these are the first three. And then he names the rest of the important parties in this whole creation of Caitanya Caritamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu. I once heard a class, it's really interesting, by praying to Advaita Acharya. He is Vishnu, he is Sadashiva, so he is so many elements. So when Mahavishnu creates, he delegates tasks, and the main important aspects of this material creation are the creation, maintenance, and destruction. So he delegates these tasks to Hiranyagarbha is the creation, Vishnu is the maintenance, and Sadashiva is the destruction. So Sadashiva is not Shiva, it's Vishnu Tattva, and he represents the I am the enjoyer and I am the controller aspect of the contamination of this material world. So therefore, praying to Advaita Acharya, we will, it says here, getting his blessings, we can get rid of the mentality of I'm the enjoyer and I'm the controller. And by clearing our heart from these initial, well, they are the core, contaminations, we will, and praying to Advaita Acharya, we will please Nityananda Prabhu. And by praying to Lord Nityananda, what happens then? We can give up, we will get his blessing, and we can give up our material interests and material desires. So if I'm not this body, and if I'm, not the enjoyer and the controller, so whatever surrounds me, I don't care about it. So I have something, a very warm chadar, it's a beautiful silk, rose silk chadar, it shines, so it's mine, it's on my shoulder, so immediately I enjoy, I care about it, first little bit I put it back. But if I'm not this body, then I don't care about these, That's Lord Nityananda. It says here, it's really nice. Material interests and desires. And by pleasing Lord Nityananda, we will please Lord Caitanya. And what will Lord Caitanya give us if we please him? Well, prema, Krishna prema. So that's kind of our goal. And it's so nice when you read the Shastra, and there are some, like, what do you call these, the Acharyas, or this Kaviraj, or this Goswami, or this Raj, or this or that, they say things, and there is like a list of things, this one, that one, the other one, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, they all have a meaning. And for some reason, my mind is always in these kind of, what is it? I have a whole notes app, in the notes app, I have the ones, the twos, the threes, the fours, the fives. So if I just see something, which is immediately, I see like a list of something, I immediately write it down. In Caitanya Caritamrita, this chapter, it is said, I don't know, whatever, the five, actually the 6 principles of Brahmacharya, and then it's listed. Or in this case, the praying for the mercy of Panchatattva, and then 1, 2, 3, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Advaita, what does it give? So it's so nice. Lord Krishna is in some scriptures called Lord of the trees, because there are so many trees, 3 this, 3 that, 3 other, 3 that, but there is more, you can go up to 64. What is 64, who knows? One, Levi?
Krishna's quality.
I was thinking, what is it called? Devotional service, aspects of devotional service, because I was reading it this morning. But yes, all these things, So that's interesting. And then you will find this, and then if you really dive deep into it, why in this sequence, that's again it's educating. You can learn a lot from it. And the last few verses are prayers for qualification. So again, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains, so this is our concluding words. We cannot imitate what we have read in chapter 2. We cannot intellectually grasp what's happening with Lord Chaitanya. We must accept what we read through faith, through Shraddha, and the madness of Lord Chaitanya is the topmost manifestation of love of God. So, just going back quickly, we cannot grasp it intellectually. We just have to accept it with faith. Why is it important to accept this with faith and follow these principles and invest in developing Shraddha rather than understanding how this all works? because it will prevent us from this sahaja mentality. It's again very important. These all are very important topics which you can study at your leisure, and we can talk about it later. But even long years after Krishna consciousness, active Krishna consciousness, sometimes you will see that this mentality, this easy going, it's cheap. This sahaja mentality is still prevailing in your consciousness. So that's why it's important to invest in developing faith and study. And also very important, by studying in this fashion, we'll establish our adhikar base, which means we will be able to discriminate accordingly. We will understand what is what, where am I, where is he, etc. So it's again, there is here a hierarchy in Krishna consciousness, although we like to say that we are all on the same, we are same, we are devotees, we are devotees of Lord, Krishna loves everyone. That's influence, that's true, but at the same time we need to understand, we need to discriminate, we need to study how this works and act accordingly. This makes sense? What is that?
It's from the altar.
Hmm?
It's coming from the altar.
Altar. Oh, Krishna. Sorry, I'm finishing now. Yes. Tom, you have a mic there.
Thanks, that's really, really nice class. You said at the end there about sahaja mentality, how we have it in us. Can you please explain how that is? And is it, I think you said it's towards our attention, how we pay attention to reading or something. Is it to do with our lack of attention?
What I said is that it's important that we study and develop our faith to avoid Shraddha. It's a very complex topic. I don't want to waste your time. Our time is over actually for the class. We can talk about it later, and there are more knowledgeable devotees who can actually explain sahaja mentality. As I said, the core concept of sahaja is it actually means cheap or easy, whatever. Everything should come easy. Everything is easy. I have love. I love Krishna, and you just express that through your material emotions, and that can be translated to every aspect of your life. So you think it's cheap. You think Krishna consciousness is cheap. That's actually sahaja mentality. But as I said, it's a complex topic, and I know that there are more knowledgeable devotees who can dissect that and educate us on that one. I hope this is okay. All right. Shri Shri Dayal Nitai Vijay Gauranga Ki Jai. On the queue. Okay. Thank you very much. Was this helpful, this overview? Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Jai Nitai Go Premanande.
His Grace Vaishnava Prabhu ki jai.